And it's the same with me, with concerned citizen. Can't say
concerned citizen. Everyone is concerned citizen, fairly struggling with concern.
Constantly struggling in life. Anyway, we are Boys on Film. Welcome back. If you are new here, please subscribe. We do this all the time. We always get our words muddled up.
Go on, subscribe. Yeah.
So what's this film about, Sean? You've seen it, because I haven't seen it, because I went to watch the screener today and it wouldn't give me access. Computer says no.
Okay, I've seen it. Okay, so it's an Israeli drama, satire, set in Tel Aviv. And it tells the story of Ben and Raz, who are a very gorgeous, younger than us, gay couple, not hard, who are a bit lifestyle, very liberal. So you've got these two gay guys living in this neighbourhood that's a bit rough around the edges. They're planning on getting a surrogate and having a child. And all of these things factor into I guess what's quite interesting about how people shift. So they present outwardly as liberal, but actually when things impact them directly, it's quite interesting. The satire is about how they kind of revert. And so it's quite interesting. I don't want to give too much away because that's part of the plot line. The way it's framed between these two gay guys, the idea of being a surrogate and living in this dodgy neighborhood, is the basis of what happens in this film. And one of them plants a tree on the street to try and like jazzify the neighborhood. And some gang of kids stand on it, and he basically reports them to the police, which then leads to a set of actions that happen involving the police in Tel Aviv and this gang. And it all kind of spirals a bit out of control. But really, that's where I'm going to leave it, Phil, for us to have a conversation, because there's a lot that I don't want to spoil with Concerned Citizen.
Okay, so is that the conflict? Is it homophobic at all?
The conflict is around the way that they present themselves to the world. So they are super liberal, Israel. Everyone has got a place. Everyone is allowed to live their lives. And it's these two gay men having a surrogate. They're like, we are very liberal, but things happen in their neighborhood that at times force them into these conversations that are the entire opposite of what I've just described. So at times you'll hear something and you'll be like, wow, that's actually weirdly xenophobic. And then one of them will go, we don't say that, what are you doing? And he's like, but I'm so stressed by this situation. And it's kind of bonkers about how it plays through with their character and how it affects them as a relationship and how they consume the world. Do you know what I mean? And there's interesting things about they're liberal, but when they bring a baby into the world, is that neighborhood the right neighborhood, and why is it not the right neighborhood? And is it judgment, or is it something deeper as to why it's not okay? And there's it's layered, and that comes across in the story through this kind of satire. Now it's in Hebrew. I'm going to say with the best will in the world, my Hebrew is 0. You get the satire. I think as a Hebrew speaker, you would get all the satire, but you pick it up through the story and through the subtitles. But I think there are nuances that you can't get unless you are a native Hebrew speaker.
Well, the reason I asked about whether homophobia is actually attached to that conflict is because I think that would be the obvious thing to do in some movies. I think in the past. Maybe not so much recently, and I'm glad about that because that's quite refreshing. I think that could have been a tad cliche. So it doesn't sound like it's a cliche-ridden film. It sounds quite a fresh idea. I quite like the sound of the story.
Yeah, and one of the characters, Ben, as he goes through all of this stuff, he gets really in his head. So he's like, I just tried to plant this tree to help the neighborhood. This thing happened because I planted the tree. And he kind of pulls it out of the present because he's so deep into thinking, why am I here? What is going on? What's happened here? So the narrative gets a bit swirling, and his partner is just kind of going, what's going on? Like, how have you found yourself here? So it's a really enjoyable movie. It's really great. It's clever because it plays with a lot of ideas around liberalism. And actually, when you're confronted with certain situations, are you in fact liberal or are you in fact something else? And that's what he plays with. Like, when you're confronted with a situation with race or with sexuality or with gender, how do you process it? Because you can say as much as you want about how you are in the world, but there's certain situations that happen in the movie where actually Ben responds in a way that is almost alien to his partner.
So you said it's a drama, but you said it's a satire. So is it more drama than comedy? Is there just a sprinkling of dark humour? Or...
No. I think it's definitely satire. But again, satire is always nuanced, and you can't. I couldn't get as much nuance from just the subtitles and watching the film. So I'm watching the kind of, non-verbal communication of the screen, and I'm watching the subtitles. Now I think I lost something, but I still got it. That was my point earlier about the language.
So it made you laugh?
Yeah, it made me laugh. And it made me at times go, oh my God. And like, I can, there's certain things that are such lol cliches around gay men, that I was like, lol, like you think about London, like how many queer people moved east into neighbourhoods that actually were quite ropey, and there's a lot of that vibe of like, yeah, it's kind of cool. And but in elements of it, it's not very safe at all. And they're like, but what does that mean? And of course but we live here, everyone's living together. But we can't bring a baby into this environment, and we can't, like, it's quite clever, it's quite playful in a way about, as I say, like, the perception of liberalism and what it means in real life when you are faced with real life situations. Yeah, I'm going to give it 3 stars, actually.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and share it with your friends, if you've got any friends, unlike us.
Unlike us, haters.